I will. What's the more interesting, creative, or crazy kind of workout thing you've developed during this time that you buy into?
Me and my dad built a pull-up bar, and it's a big wooden piece, and we hung up two pull-up bars on it and a punching bag. So, getting extra pull-up work in, it's really important for offensive line play, doing that body weight stuff, and being able to work my football technique too, punching that heavy bag. That's been something that's really beneficial. I've been grinding that every day.
Next up is Rich Garcelle at Reading Eagle.
Hey, Will, thanks for your time. Mike said that he bought in immediately after meeting Coach Trautwein. What has Coach Trautwein done since he arrived, or done or taught that you've especially liked, and did you have the same buy-in right away?
Yeah, I had the same buy-in right away too. Just getting to talk to him, the first couple times I met him, and hearing, just his confidence, the way he, carries himself. It was easy to buy in. He's done it at the highest level. I think that's helpful as well. But just knowing the kind of person he is now, it was an easy buy-in. And, I just learned a ton of stuff from him as far as, some technique stuff, becoming, a higher IQ football player, learning, defense is better. And that's, an ever-going process of keep trying to learn that stuff.
Next up is Mark Brennan, Lions 247.
Will, can you tell us about some of the young defensive linemen that maybe we haven't seen, but you saw a lot on the scout team last year that people ought to be looking out for moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. Two guys that I faced every day were Hakeem Beamon and Smith Vilbert. Those guys are extremely talented young players, and they're grinding. They give me a challenge every day on scout team, and it was a ton of fun to go against them because they made me better every day. Hakeem's kind of he's a strong kid. He plays very natural. He just does moves that you wouldn't think he will do it at his age, and that's a ton of fun going against him. And Smith's big, tall. He's a kid I look in the eyes. Long kid, and he's big and strong for how long he is too. And he's just getting better all the time, giving a ton of effort on scout team. Both those guys, can't say enough good things about them.
Donnie Collins, Times Tribune.
Hey, Will, how does Coach Trout teach technique different than other coaches you've had in the past? What kind of things does he emphasize that take on a greater importance?
He always talks about Coach Garnecchia and kind of techniques he teaches. Having that ramrod position, with his punch. I think the thing that kind of separates it from other coaches is not only how you're doing it and the technique, but why you're doing it. How it affects other things. I think that just builds a great understanding of how you should play the game, and just helps become a more complete football player in the end.
Mike Gross, Lancaster Newspapers.
Hi, Will. Good afternoon. A couple of things. First, who was the coach that you referenced in the last answer that Trautwein uses or references? Didn't you say a coach?
Yeah, Coach Garnecchia.
Who's that? I don't know who that is.
He was the coach of the Patriots. He retired last year.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now I know who it is. Okay. All right. Can you measure strength gain, or whether you're maintaining strength with what you're doing and just maintaining general fitness and conditioning? Is there any way you can sort of tangibly measure that, hey, what I'm doing, even though it's a little different, it's working?
Yeah, for sure. You're just writing down numbers every day. And, when you go back and look what you did last week is trying to beat those numbers. I think that's, one way you can keep competing with yourself is, okay, I did this workout last week. How can I, up my game this week and get bigger and stronger? And I think it's the same thing if you're doing, say, conditioning. Okay, I did 10 sprints to finish this week. Let me do 12. And just that, inner competition with myself is kind of how I've been gauging my progress, on my own.
Next up is Peter Terpstra, WTAJ.
Hey, I'm curious, how important do you think this time is when all football teams kind of have their players scattered all over and at home when it comes to, teams that are looking to set themselves apart whenever we get back to play?
Yeah, it's critical. I mean, it's really on every individual, every, leader in the position group to, kind of, push themselves and set the standard for, okay, this is where we're going to separate ourselves. Everyone's in the situation, so we got to make the most of it. I think it's just, kind of setting an example, and then following up with that is just grinding every day and, building brick by brick on it.
Mitch Stacy, Associated Press.
Hey, Will. You're a guy who could have gone into the draft this spring, and you decided to come back for another year. How concerning is it to you that this season is probably going to be affected somehow, shortened, maybe not played at all, when you really could have used that final year for, your development and your exposure, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. It's out of my control. So at the end of the day, I can't worry about it. Everything I can do is just, get myself better every day. I can, work out, study film and do something every day, get myself better. So whenever that time comes that we do play, I'm ready to go.
Next up is John Sauber, Center Daily Times.
Hey, Will, is there anything that you've sort of learned from this that you can take with yourself moving forward to make your life more efficient in any way?
Yeah, I think it's that it's never getting complacent, never taking anything for granted. It's every day is kind of a gift of to get better, and that with all this extra time we got now is I can really use that time wisely and keep preparing myself to become a better football player.
Next question is Thomas Frank Carr, ESPN Radio 1450.
Hey, Will, what's it like being inside for an athlete all the time? I think for a lot of us, sitting around at a computer all the time isn't all that different. But for somebody who's used to being active, what's this been like for you on like a personal level? Yeah,
I mean, kind of just trying to break it up, get outside and work out as much as I can. Just do stuff outside, anytime I really can, enjoy the nice weather now that it's turned springtime. And still like working out and stuff, you can do that, weights and stuff inside. But, if you're going outside just for a run or, football work or agility drills, that's kind of breaks it up, and it's, it's good to get that sunshine.
Next up is Nate Bauer, Blue White Illustrated.
Well, is there something you miss the most about normal daily life, whether it's football related or not?
Yeah, I think it's just being around, the guys at school, being around, just my friends in general. Obviously everyone's got to stay apart and stay, distant, but, just miss that, that locker room, the camaraderie with everyone. And that's probably what I miss the most.
Tobias Wilborn, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Hey, man, how's it going, brother?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, man. With the aspects of keeping the weight on, how are you doing that nutrition-wise? How are you getting the calories? How are you working that part out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to be home because my parents can feed me. So that's, been really helpful, getting good home-cooked meals. I've been home for this long in a while, so being able to eat, my mom and dad's food, it's been nice, and helps me keep the weight up. So, and then just additionally with that, just, supplementing things with protein shakes, protein bars, just to obviously being off as lineman, you got to stay, big and lean. So really focusing on my diet too has been kind of beneficial in this time.
Chase Goodbreed, NFL.com.
Hey, Will, thanks for doing this.
No problem.
I want to ask you a little bit about the creativity that's involved with working out from home, especially for guys that don't have weight equipment. I've heard about guys on other teams like squatting 50-pound bags of cat litter or fertilizer. And Michael mentioned something about you putting some water in a PVC pipe for balance. Can you describe that in a little more detail, and also tell us the most creative thing you've seen from any of your teammates?
Yeah, so it's something my dad made a while ago. It's called a slosh bar. You fill up, a long 10-foot PVC pipe, halfway with water. You can do a ton of stuff with it. You can, press it over your head or squat with them. And it's really challenging because, there's a lot of water in it, but it can slosh one way or the other. And, it's really just great for, working your balance, your core, things like that. I've utilized that, a lot as a finisher, just separate workouts. So, I mean, that's something that I've been working on creatively that I normally don't. Just seeing stuff on Twitter and stuff, guys working out. I think the guys that make, squat bars out of tree trunks or putting the tires on the end of the rack. That's been pretty cool to see you guys find ways to still get it in.
All right, so we're going to start at the top of the list of questions again. If you do not have a question the second time around, just say pass. Greg Pickle.
Will, now that the semester's over, how might things change for you just in terms of the time that you'll have available? And what kind of guidance, I guess, has Coach Trautwein been able to give you guys in terms of offensive line specific drills and things like that you can do by yourself?
I think, as far as the semester ending and stuff, not having to do the online classes is kind of nice. You don't got to wake up super early and go to them, but, you can work on getting extra rest, work on getting, your meals spaced out nice. But I think with that is just focusing on, the playbook. I think that's something that's going to be really important when we get back is we can't always get those reps together now, but, just knowing your job when you get back, the playbook's super important. And then just keep grinding, drills on air is so you can just do those technique things every single day.
Tyler Donahue, Lions 247.
Hey, Will, Coach Trautwein put on Twitter yesterday that you guys had a guest on your Zoom call for offensive line. You had Stefan Wisniewski on. He got a couple Super Bowls to his credit with the Steelers now. What exactly was that conversation like? What was the insight he gave you? And more typically, what was the kind of the Penn State pride that was on display during that interaction?
Yeah, Wiz is, Penn State guy through and through. He was awesome, get to talk to me and, hear his perspective being a guy that's about 10 years in the league now. Him explaining things that you wouldn't really think about from a football IQ perspective, but that's what separates him and why he's been able to be in the league for so long. So just really, fully understanding how smart he is, all the tips he was able to share with us, things like working on your core, just different, technique things, if you're setting a wide guy versus a narrow guy. It was really interesting. It was really, really beneficial. Took like ton of notes on all the stuff he had to say. So that was awesome getting to talk with him, during that meeting.
Audrey Stutter, The Athletic.
Will, Michael Bennett said he talked with Sean Clifford a few times and that Sean was excited and broke out a whiteboard and that kind of thing. Have you and Sean talked at all? Have you seen that whiteboard?
I haven't seen the whiteboard, but we've kept in touch. Just holding, like kind of said, branched out and holding guys in other position groups accountable as well has been important. But yeah, we've talked a bunch and it's been good. We're both excited to get back.
Frank Bodani, New York Daily Record.
Hey, Will, what do you think the biggest thing you needed in your game to improve on from last year going into your senior year? And having said that, then how have you been able to try to work on that during this time?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things I need to improve upon was my punch and my pass sets. Grinding my pass sets has always been a thing I've loved to do and been important to me, but working on that punch piece as well. So earlier I said I got that heavy bag set up in my backyard, and every day I'm just grinding, punching that thing, with strong hips, not leaning in there, but, just getting, 100 reps on that thing a day, and good posture and good technique is, I think that's going to pay off once we're able to get back at it.
Rich Garcella, Fighting Eagle.
Will, how do you deal and cope with all the uncertainty regarding 2020 season? And has the thought crossed your mind that you may have played your last college game?
I don't think that thought's really crossed my mind until you said it. It's a funny thought, but like I said earlier, there's nothing I can do about it. It's out of my control, and all I can do is keep preparing for whatever the next opportunity is. I think at some point, with the guidance and safety of the health officials, we'll be able to get back, and I'm looking forward to that. Whenever that time is.
Mark Brennan, Fight on State.
Will, you and Michael both mentioned the fact that Coach Trout played at the highest level in the league. Why do you think that's important for an offensive line coach to have that experience? And do you ever look at photos of him when he was playing and kind of laugh a little bit because it looks like he's lost about 100 pounds since then?
Yeah. I think it's important just because that's what I aspire to be one day, being in his shoes, and, he was able to accomplish it. So he has all that wisdom, all those experiences about how to get there and, guide, me and Mike to that point. 'Cause ultimately that's like where we want to be in his shoes. And, yeah, it's kind of funny seeing him, how big he used to be, his days in Florida and the NFL. But, another thing to that too is his technique was incredible. I think, that's a part that's overlooked is he was just such a technician. Watching his old film is awesome.
Donnie Collins, Times Tribune.
Well, just so I'm clear, where did the idea for the slosh bar come from, and how long have you been using it now?
Yeah, that was my dad's idea. I'm not sure exactly where he got it from, but yeah, that was all him. And I've been using it since probably middle school. Obviously, you have to refill it and stuff, but it's something that I've always had in my backyard and used through middle school, high school, and now that I'm back here, I use it every once in a while.
Mike Gross, Lancaster Newspapers.
Yeah, well, Coach Trautwein talked a lot when we talked to him about this idea of playing into your legs and playing from your legs in the running game, and what specific what does that mean? What specific thing are you guys doing that maybe you didn't do last year in order to make that happen from a technique standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, he harps on that as one of his biggest coaching points, playing through your legs, and just to me that means feeling kind of that burn in your legs, like that's where your power comes from. I mean, he always says it like, do you squat more, or do you bench more? And everyone should be saying they should squat more, and that's where you get all your drive from. You're playing through your legs, you're using that big squat you train all off season for, and now you can start moving guys off the ball with all that power. And yeah, that's kind of just what it means to me. It's just running off the ball, being strong, playing strong, and using that big V8 engine in your legs to move guys off the ball, and not kind of tiptoe or take too many like choppy steps. You're not getting enough power, but just using that power in your legs is really what it means.
Peter Terpstra, WTAJ.
You mentioned you haven't lived at home for this long in a while. What's it been like, I guess, being back home with your parents, and what was, I guess, maybe the most surprising thing of coming back?
The most surprising thing about coming back is seeing how big my brother has gotten. He's a sophomore in high school now, and yeah, he's it's funny just seeing how big he's gotten since the last time I've seen him, because he's playing on Fridays, can't come to many games, so that's been the most surprising. But it's been it's a blessing being at home as well, because it's not really more than a week at a time. I get to see my parents and be able to spend times with them, watching movies with them at night. It's been really nice, and all this craziness.
Next up is Mitch Stacy with the Associated Press.
Hey, Will, just a quick follow on what I'd asked you before. You decided to return for another season long before all of this craziness began, or long before anybody could have dreamed what would happen. Do you ever have second guess your decision now?
No, not at all. I think it was the right decision for me to come back, and I'm really happy that I did. And, all this craziness, the pandemic has, nothing to do with it. It's just is what it is at this point, and just keep getting better. That's all I can do is keep getting better every day about it.
Next up is John Sauber, Center Daily Times.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that leading is sort of different now that you can't be with guys. Do you think it's harder to keep track of guys now, and do you feel yourself worrying more about your teammates now that you can't be around them all the time?
No, honestly, I don't really worry about them, because I think that we got such a good group that, we all trust each other to keep putting in that work and keep grinding, keep learning the playbook, keep working out. Obviously, holding each other accountable is important. It would be nice to be able to work out with them, But I trust everyone that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, because when we get back, we're gonna have an advantage over everyone.
Next up is Thomas Frank Carr, ESPN Radio.
Hey, Will, you've mentioned grinding and working every day a couple of times now. Have you always been such a hard worker? Was there a moment where that switched? And do you think that with the teaching you're getting now from Coach Trautwein, there's more working smarter than harder, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I think that for me, it kind of started in high school when, I realized, okay, football is what I love, and you got to do something every day to get better at it. Because, if you're competing against, defensive ends, other guys trying to take your job every day. So I think that doing something every day is important to, stay one step ahead of the game. What was the other question?
Do you feel like there's an element of working smarter and not harder now?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's times where you want to keep working harder, but your body's telling you no, and you got to be able to know when to, hit the brakes a little bit. And, I think that it comes with, using a little more film study and stuff like that. There's still ways you can improve mentally, studying the playbook, things like that.
Time for a few more. Yeah, Dave Bauer, Blue White Illustrated.
Well, what did you think was the strength of your game last season?
I think the strength of my game last year was, becoming a more consistent player. Learning the offense better. Learning how defenses will attack our offense better. I think that, kind of having that that awareness, and that's a never-stopping process, but developing that more into my game, I think that was really helpful for me. I would say that's probably the biggest thing that helped me last year.
Our last question goes to Nubias Wilborn, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Go ahead, Nubias.
Is there a way, or have you guys as linemen figured out ways to maybe simulate as close as you can lining up next to each other in the positions you would be in, particularly considering you're learning some new offensive stuff?
Yeah, I think that just comes when you're doing your drills on your own. You got to be able to visualize how you're going to be attacked on that play. If you're setting, visualize a couple different, rushes you're going to get, wide, narrow, maybe a long arm or a bull rush, something like that, and be able to fit those positions and kind of feel how your body's going to feel it. I think that's kind of the best way to simulate that.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you, everybody.